the New York Times is reporting today that because of President Donald Trump's proclamations barring immigration interviews for most immigration cases that are not marriages to U.S. citizens, the United States is now facing a backlog of 380,000 cases at U.S. embassies around the entire world. That's not even the number of adjustments being filed here. We're talking about 380,000 people who have completed all of their paperwork, who are ready for their immigrant visa appointments, who are eligible for their immigrant visa appointments because the priority dates are current. They are just waiting to be called in. And now there is a backlog because of the various proclamations due to Trump's anti-immigration stances, as well as COVID, 380,000 people. Now, U.S. consulates, just so you understand, they issue about 500,000 immigrant visas a year. So if we have a backlog of 380,000 people, they are backed up over a year than what they were when this entire thing started. And most of these people, believe it or not, are still family members of U.S. citizens and permanent residents. In April, Trump signed the proclamation suspending almost all legal immigration. Now Biden has pledged to reopen the doors once again, to restart the immigration engine, to get immigrant visa appointments. But the problem is this. They got 380,000 visa applicants backlogged. I would say from my own experience, there's about 2 immigration officers or 2 consular officers doing interviews at any given time. And if you think about it and say, Biden will just have to hire more people to do immigrant visa appointments, it takes 2 years to go through the training process to get certified to be a consular officer. So even if they say, okay, we're going to hire more people, they're not going to be able to get people in there who are qualified for at least 2 years. So it's a huge, huge problem.
The petty in me just automatically thinks about Trump, and this is probably one of the biggest self-gratifying moments for him, just because he didn't win. He's like, well, I screwed them on this. Now they're behind a whole year. C'est la vie.
You're right. And we said, it's not going to be easy for Biden just to turn back on the faucet. Right. Things that Trump did are going to, like, here's a perfect example, are going to be affecting immigrants for years. Even if there is an amnesty, even if there is a change in immigration laws that speed up processing, you still need people to actually do a process. Now, it's possible there are remedies to fix these issues. You don't have to have an interview. Why do we have to meet every last person that needs an immigrant visa? If on their paperwork everything looks good, and their background checks, everything looks good, and the immigration officer really doesn't have any question other than for them to show up, stamp a passport, and leave, and ask some general questions, it's possible that in the future, I have no idea, but it's possible in the future, they may say some people aren't even going to get visa appointments. Why? I always found it a little ridiculous why people need a visa appointment. Why do you need to show up and speak to somebody if it's a straightforward case? If there's a case where an immigration officer has to ask you about some offense that occurred before, or some sort of misrepresentation issue that they see, or some other issues that they may believe may prevent you from getting a green card, well then, you have to have an interview. But if there's no issues that look like they would prevent you from getting a green card, why interview in the first place? Just send the person the green card. Your background checks are cleared. And quite frankly, if we've learned anything in the pandemic, we could do everything by Zoom. So as long as the person has a telephone, if you really want to interview them and you want to speed things up, FaceTime them. Say, hi, how are you? I got a few questions for you. Done. All right, we'll send you a green card in the mail.
Right.
Genius, Brad.
Genius.
Genius.
I am not even on that blue ribbon committee. But if somebody knows Jill Biden, tell her to give me a call, because I got some good ideas. Because there's no way that they're going to be able to clear up these backlogs, even if they wanted to, because they can't train the people fast enough. And if you have two consular officers who are working generally in each embassy, you find retired people and bring them back, or you move people around. So, okay, now there's 3 people. You still have hundreds of thousands of people in Backlog. Why do you need to go interview a 10-year-old kid? For what purpose? Why does a 10-year-old kid need to show up at the embassy? Why does grandma, who's 75 years old, need to be interviewed for security clearance? I don't think grandma's doing anything at 75. There's certain groups of people they could say, we're not going to interview them.
I think it's so important for people to actually see this. This is why I think the schmoozing with Brad is so important, because I see on a lot of different websites and profiles on Instagram, especially that are catered to the younger crowd, that are really questioning President Biden's, promptness and saying, oh, well, why aren't you doing this faster? Why aren't you doing this faster? And it's like, we have to understand that there's so much that he has to, correct. And like you said, it's going to take a while. So that's why I think it's so important for people to actually see this.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.